Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the first video on my channel doing what I actually want to do on this channel, which is analyzing, of course, Science Olympiad statistics, as you might guess from the name. So this is the Google sheet that I have been working on over the past couple days. On this tab, the 2023 to 2024 season, you can see I have, at least to the best of my knowledge, every invitational that has happened at this point in the season. And to be clear, I'm recording this on January 4th, 2024. So as far as I know, these are all of the invitationals that have happened up to this point. Of course, invitational season really picks up once the new year hits. So every weekend almost, there's probably going to be some new invitationals to add to this. And I will keep this updated and you guys updated as well. Um, so, yeah, these are all of the invitationals, again, to the best of my knowledge, that have occurred in the 2024 season so far. What I've done here is I've taken at least the top five teams from each invitational. I've put them on here. I also have all of their rankings in every official event. Trial events are not included, of course. Um, and also, if there are teams that I know are good or that I want to watch that didn't make it into the top five, I put them on here too. So you can see for Battle at Valley Forge, I put Harriton and Lower Marion on the list, even though they didn't make it into the top five at that tournament. So I want to direct your attention over to this. That's not what I want to do. There we go. Over to this slide here. This is my rankings and predictions. This is the place where I'll put predictions for invitationals and for nationals. I'll probably be making a prediction video for MIT. If you're unaware, MIT is a very high-profile invitational coming up here at the end of January. But for now, these are my top 10 nationally ranked teams. Now, you might notice that one state is not represented here. Well, two states are unrepresented, but we'll get to that in a second. And that is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the one that is very intentionally unrepresented here. And that's because I have a bit of an in with Pennsylvania Science Olympiad. I'm still pretty closely associated with my home team of Cumberland Valley. Um, and of course, that makes me pretty biased towards Cumberland Valley. I'm going to do my best to not let that bias seep in when I'm talking about results from invitationals or ranking teams. But just be aware that I am a Cumberland Valley alumni, so of course I'm going to be biased towards CV. But if you're unaware, Pennsylvania has three really competitive teams: Harriton, Cumberland Valley, and Lower Marion. Um, and I don't have enough data on any of these teams to say with certainty that any of them are in the top 10. If I had to guess, Harriton and maybe Cumberland Valley are in the top 10. You can see I have these preliminarily ranked here. So I'd put Harriton if the Pennsylvania State tournament was tomorrow. I would put Harriton in first, Cumberland Valley in second, and Lower Marion in third. That would mean since PA has two national spots, Harriton and Cumberland Valley would go to nationals. Um, so I don't have enough data though to put any of these teams in the top 10. Again, if I were to guess, Harriton would very probably is likely to be in at least the top 10 here, maybe the top five. I'm not entirely sure. But if you look here, what's nice about this, once I find, here we go, is I can just paste it and see all of the tournaments that this team has attended this year. So you can see Harriton attended Battle at Valley Forge and Dick Smith Memorial. So Harriton was unstacked for Dick Smith here. Very likely unstacked, I should say. And they also scratched in all the build events. They didn't do any of the build events at Dick Smith. So this really is not a good representation. 10th and 12th is not a good representation of how well Harriton does To really get that, you would need to super score it, and even then, it's not the greatest representation. And then up here at Battle at Valley Forge, this we believe was Harriton's B team. So this is not, excuse me, this is not a good indication of what their A team could do. Um, so yeah, and Cumberland Valley again. I know for a fact that we were unstacked because I went to battle at Valley Forge with my team here. I know we were unstacked, and it looks like Lower Marion was very much unstacked as well. So yeah, it's we can't say with any certainty if any of these three teams are in the top 10. But enough of that. Let's look at the top 10 for now. And if you'll remember, a few minutes ago, I said that there was another state that was conspicuously missing from the top 10, and that's Illinois. If we just search Illinois here, you can see that the traditionally good teams that Illinois puts up, like New Trier and especially Stevenson, Adlai East Stevenson, have not been doing that great this year. If you look at the national rankings from last year, Stevenson was first overall and New Trier was ninth. These are both top 10 teams. And if you look at Boyceville here, Stevenson was very likely unstacked, by the way, but New Trier, I don't have any indication here that New Trier was unstacked. I don't think they sent a second team to this tournament. If they did, I probably would have put them on the list here. But both of these teams fell outside of the top 10. And again, Stevenson was unstacked, but if you look at it, they didn't scratch in the build events like Harriton did at Battle. And even if you super scored them, which if you're unfamiliar, super scoring is just taking, when teams are unstacked, you take the team's best ranks in each event and add those up instead of any one individual team's ranks. Even if you super scored them, I'm not confident that they would have placed too much higher here. Maybe they would have gotten fourth, but I mean, being Monte Vista, by the way, is pretty good this year. They look really good this year. So no surprise that they took first. But Glenn A. Wilson from California, again, they're not really a traditionally good team. Ward Melville from New York, if I'm not mistaken, they were the second place team from New York here that went to the second team from New York that went to nationals last year. So maybe not too surprising, but Tesla STEM, this was again a team that went to nationals, but Washington is not a very competitive state. You can see here that Tesla STEM got 28th at nationals, not super competitive. So, and I mean, for the former national champion last year, Stevenson, even if they're unstacked, I would expect them to break into the top, at least top 5 here, if not top 3. You can see that other traditionally good teams, I apologize for the lighting right now. You can see other traditionally good teams like Solon here, even when they're unstacked, both of their unstacked teams break into the top 3. And then this one, Solon, again, not super competitive competition. Centerville looks to be the third best team in Ohio behind Solon and Mason, of course. So no surprise that their two unstacked rosters got first and second here. But still, I mean, when Cumberland Valley goes unstacked, our position often suffers. You can see here, if we were stacked in this tournament, I think we would have gotten third or second. But Solon, I mean, they absolutely dominate even when they're unstacked. So I mean, for a team like Stevenson, who again was the national champion last year, when they're unstacked, they can't even break into the top 5. That tells me that they are certainly not as good as they were last year. To be clear, I still think that Stevenson and probably New Trier as well will go to nationals. Illinois has 2 national spots, of course. And I think they're still probably the best two teams in the state, but I don't think they're in the top 10 nationally. Both of them would probably rank in the top 20, maybe top 25 for Nutrier. But again, it's just a little disappointing to see the former national champion just not breaking into the top 10 yet. This, by the way, this video, there's a huge disclaimer here that all of this is very preliminary. We're still very, very early in the season. Almost anything can happen at this point. Teams that I don't even have on the list here yet, that haven't even attended an invitational, might break into the top 10. You never know. But for now, this is where it stands. And one tournament, even just one tournament, where Stevenson just absolutely blows everyone out of the water. Like if they get, top 5 or top 3 at MIT or something like that, or at Solon, then I would definitely reconsider their position and probably very likely put them in the top 10 at that point, seeing what their stacked roster can do. But at this point in the season, this is where my rankings stand. So enough about teams that aren't in the top 10. Let's talk about teams that are. First of all, Troy, Solon. No one's super surprised. I'd hope to see them in the top 10 and even in the top 2 spots. Troy's a little bit better than last year. Honestly, I was kind of surprised last year. They still did very, very well. Don't get me wrong. Getting fourth is no laughing matter at nationals. But again, Stevenson, Solon, Mason, the Midwest trio here, beat out Troy for the top 3 spots. And Harriton, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, they came decently close to beating Troy here. So again, still a very good ranking, but for the atmosphere that Troy has built up around them, the reputation that they've gained, it was a little surprising for me to not see them in the top 3. But they do look like they're back this year. Again, this is unstacked Troy absolutely dominating here. And unfortunately, this is the only data point that I have for Troy right now. So again, a lot can change. One invitational might change this placing here, but for now, that's where it stands. Solon may very well be ahead of Troy. By the way, again, I don't have too much data right now, so that's what I'm thinking right now. Monte Vista, again, extremely good this year. They didn't. By the way, Monte Vista did not attend. Oh, whoops! I don't know what I just did. Okay, whatever. I'll fix that later. Monte Vista, by the way, didn't even attend nationals last year. That second California place went to Castro Valley, which got 7th. Again, no laughing matter. I am curious if Castro. So yeah, here we go. Castro Valley, we do have some data for Gulso here, which was a lot of the competitive California Science Olympiad teams, minus Troy, of course, went to this tournament. Monte Vista, you can see, is at the top. Mountain View, not too far behind. Castro Valley, though, down at 7th. Not even their B team, even unstacked. This is not what you'd expect from a former, top 10 ranking national team. And it looks like we have another data point for them, maybe. Here we go. So, yeah, again, getting beat out by Lynbrook. This is not a team that I recognize, not a super competitive team, at least in California. Getting beat out by Lynbrook, not a great look. And Jordan from Texas, if you'll notice, this is another team that I have in the top 10 here, and another team that didn't go to nationals last year. Texas's second team was, I believe, did Texas go away Discord? There we go. Did Texas only send? Oh, right. I think there we go. William P. Clements got 16th. Again, pretty decent. But Jordan beating out Iolani, which is the Hawaii state champion. Not super competitive, but still decent. And oh, I didn't realize this is Highlands actually that I'm looking at. Highlands, by the way, if you're unfamiliar, is, in my opinion anyway, is not a super serious Science Olympiad tournament. Not really super competitive. It's the very first Science Olympiad tournament, by the way. You'll notice I have nothing before that. So this is very preliminary data, and arguably, even if it was accurate, is very outdated. Um, but I mean, Seven Lakes getting 11th, Monta Vista getting 8th. You can see Fulton Science Academy, which is the Georgia state champion, getting 16th. Like, these are not very. I know that these teams are better than this, so not very accurate rankings. But still, if we look at other, because I have other data points for Jordan here. Here we go. University of Texas beating out William P. Clements, which again is the was the Texas runner up last year. They got the second spot from Texas, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I just had to double check that. Um, they beat them out at the University of Texas here, and also at Cypress Falls. This time they beat Seven Lakes. I mean, that is quite the accomplishment. Again, beating Clements, beating the Liberal Arts and Science Academy. Very, very strong showing from Jordan so far this year. Again, a lot can change right now. A lot can change, but right now, I think I'm definitely putting Jordan in the top 10, maybe even ahead of Mason and Syosset, which I wanted to talk about right now because they have been on an absolute tear this year. Cornell, they beat out Westminster Plainsboro. Both of their teams, this might have been unstacked. Syosset, by the way, is stacked this year. They've been stacked from the very start, it looks like. So it's not really too much of a surprise that they've been beating out a lot of teams very early on. But for now, again, according to the data I have right now, Syosset is on an absolute tear. So, and if you look at Syosset's other ranking, which is Battle at Valley Forge, getting first here, beating out Great Neck South, which, by the way, I'll talk about that in a minute, actually. And Westminster Plainsboro, this was very likely stacked. This was very likely a stacked Westminster. And they beat them out, third to first. Beating out both of our unstacked teams and Lower Merion's unstacked teams and Harriton's B team. Again, that's not too surprising. Unstacked and B teams aren't going to compete with this. So we'll see if they can hold on to this ranking that I have them in right now. You'll notice I put them ahead of Mason, and I don't do that very lightly. Mason, again, is a very strong team traditionally. This Raymond Park is probably their best showing. 3 unstacked teams having their best 15 people spread across 3 teams, and they still managed to beat out Munster and Carmel, which is, again, a traditionally stronger team. But you'll notice I don't have them in the top 10 right now, even getting beaten out by like Montgomery and Troy. So not the strongest team. Carmel, sorry. So beating out even a stacked Carmel roster isn't too surprising this year. But there is another tournament here, Northview. This is really what made me think that Mason wasn't as good this year. You can see that they were unstacked, of course, but Solon was unstacked as well. And both of Solon's unstacked teams beat out both of Mason's unstacked teams. So that tells me that it's very likely that Solon is a decent bit ahead of Mason. If this Mason team beat out this Solon team and got second, and then this Solon team still got first, then I'd say Mason's a little higher up. But again, not as strong of a showing as I would expect. Still very good though. I mean, 6th is a respectable place here. Seven Lakes is another team that I would like to talk about here. Seven Lakes, we have a lot of data on Seven Lakes, and almost everything indicates that they are exceptionally stronger than they were last year. Again, last year, Seven Lakes, again, pretty strong showing, 8th. But you'll notice this year I have them in fourth. So quite the improvement there. You'll notice University of Texas, pretty probably unstacked here. And even the unstacked teams beat out Jordan and Clemens, which, by the way, like I said, Jordan I have as the second place team in Texas right now, and Clemens went to nationals last year. Um, Here, Cypress Falls. Jordan beats out Seven Lakes by a little bit. This is what really made me think that Jordan is definitely the second place team in Texas. Why didn't I put them ahead of Seven Lakes? Because of this placing up here. Seven Lakes unstacked team beat out Jordan, so it's very likely that Seven Lakes is ahead. That matchup could be closer than I'm giving it credit for. And then here, Rickards. This tournament told me quite a bit, actually, that Monte Vista is very good and that Seven Lakes is very, very good. Um, Perhaps even better than Monte Vista now that I'm looking at it. This matchup's really close. Seven Lakes, again, very likely unstacked here. Monte Vista looks like they're stacked. Similar to Syosset, Monte Vista, they've been stacked for the first part of this season, so it's pretty likely that they. So I mean, you would expect them to be doing very well at the start of the season here. So we'll see if they can keep that momentum going. For now, I'm putting them ahead of Seven Lakes, but that could very, very easily change in the tournaments to come. Um, so yes, a very strong showing from Seven Lakes, and this team. So this is Troy, not this Troy, but from Michigan Troy, and this was a tough placement for me. I was pretty confident with these 9 teams being the top 9. I was significantly less confident in placing this 10th place team um, right now because there were a couple contenders. Great Neck South was the main one, um, and really the only reason that I didn't, well, I guess this is a reason here. Great Neck South kind of bombed at Rickards. This could have been their B team though, judging by their performance at Battle at Valley Forge here. Again, beating out Westminster and all of the PA teams. Um, this is a pretty strong showing from them. But I want to talk more about Troy because again, this was a pretty difficult thing for me to rank. So this is the main tournament that made me think that Troy was really significantly better than a lot of people give it credit for. They beat out both of Mason's unstacked teams. They beat out Centerville, which Centerville, like I said before, is the third place team in Ohio. They beat out Saline, which was good at least a couple years ago. I don't remember who was the Michigan. Whoops, that's not Nationals. This is Nationals. So it was Pioneer and Grand Haven. So none of these teams actually. But they beat out Saline and they beat one of Solin's unstacked rosters. Again, Solin, an incredibly strong team whose even their unstacked rosters absolutely shred through most teams. Troy managed to beat them. And like I said, they beat both of Mason's unstacked teams. So I think Troy from Michigan is. I'm going to give Troy from Michigan the 10th place spot for now. That's the theme of this video. We're still very early on. Again, I'm recording this in early January. The main part of the competition season just picked up, so it's very likely, very, very likely, almost certain actually, that these rankings will change in the coming weeks, especially after high-profile tournaments. I have a list over here. High-profile tournaments like MIT, even SOAPs, which is coming up not this weekend, but next weekend. Or Solon. Where is Solon? Here it is. Where Stevenson and DuPont. I don't have DuPont in here either. And Mason and Nutrier. This is Nutrier's chance to prove themselves. And I'm not sure if this is California or Michigan Troy. The rankings should indicate that if they get like first, it's probably California Troy, or I'll just probably find out at the tournament itself. Um, but I mean, we have Mason, we have Marquette, which I didn't talk about at all, by the way. Marquette, about the same as last year. Pretty, again, a very, very good team. Not too much to talk about, though, apart from that. They're extremely good. And Montgomery was the other team on this list I didn't talk about at all. Again, just a really good team. I suppose it is notable that Montgomery is beating out Westminster Plainsboro right now. Again, that's very early data. But given that Great Neck South and Syosset beat out Westminster at Battle, I think Montgomery. Let's just look at some of their rankings real quick here. So this is here we go. So Cornell, they beat out Westminster. Westminster might have been unstacked though, hence why I put Montgomery at the bottom. Westminster might be the better team overall. But Montgomery, again, at this point in the season, that's my ranking. So again, looking more at some high-profile tournaments that are coming up, Solon is in early February. Birdso kind of mid to late February. Golden Gate. This is the real matchup here. Troy and Monte Vista. I expect Troy to win this right now, but Monte Vista, like I said, Monte Vista is very, very good this year. They really have a shot there. And like I said, Soaps, which is coming up in 2 weeks. Carmel has a chance to prove themselves. Cumberland Valley is going stacked. Lower Merion's very likely going stacked. Mason's very likely going stacked. This is really when things start to pick up. You'll notice I have Ruston in here, by the way. If you're unfamiliar, Ruston for a while was a very competitive Pennsylvania team. Not so much anymore, but I still like keeping an eye on him, so I have a tab on him here. But yeah, this is going to tell me a lot. This is going to really show me between these two teams which has a really strong showing, which has a stronger showing than the other. That's really going to tell me the state of the Pennsylvania rankings. And again, Pennsylvania is the wild card here. They are the state that I intentionally left out of the top 10 here. It's very likely that at least one, if not two of these teams is in the top 10. I just don't know which two. So they're the wild card. And seeing the results from Soaps is really going to help me make that decision about which Pennsylvania team might be in the top 10, if any. So again, MIT, Soaps, and Solon. Those are our three main tournaments that I'm looking at right now, and Birdso to a lesser extent. And I mean, there's some other ones around here that I'll definitely be adding. This one as well in early February. Soup. I have it as Philadelphia Urban Envy. I think it's actually called Soup. This is just how it was listed on Scilympiad. But yeah, you can see the three best Pennsylvania teams are going to be attending that. So that will in many ways be a precursor to the Pennsylvania state competition. So I think that will do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think about my rankings down in the comments, if anyone is even watching. And I hope you all have a fantastic day.